Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Good Morning Soul. And today I'm going to be doing another story down memory lane, and this one is going to have to do with scars. And I think I have like 4 or 5 scars on my body that I still have. And pretty much all of mine are from my childhood. I think I'm much safer nowadays and a lot less stupid, so I do a lot less stupid, risky things that could harm my body. And I'm not into sports as much as I was back then, so I think that's why I haven't had a serious injury in a while. And I'm not trying to have a serious injury. Fucking health insurance and all that's a bitch, so fuck that. But I again, with tattoos, I really like stories where people tell me about their scars. They're always interesting. It always says something about them. It always gives context into why their body feature has a scar or whatever else on it. And for me, I already did a whole video about my lip. When I was in 6th grade, my tooth went through my lip. I already wanted to talk about that so much that I made a video about it on this channel. You can just go into my video archive and search why is your lip so fucked up? I'm pretty sure that's why I'm pretty sure that's what I called it. And that was, that one's on my face. It's my lip. My lip is kind of deformed because of it. And it's to clarify for anyone who is ever wondering when I'm talking why a part of my lip is bigger than the other side. So that's what that video is. But I have other scars, and today I'm going to be talking about one that's on the back of my head. And it's still kind of a shitty scar. Whenever I get my hair cut, they'll see it, or whenever I have I don't ever get buzz cuts or anything because I can see the scar. And one of my biggest fears is to go bald, not only because my head I feel is really awkwardly shaped. I shaved my head once and it wasn't a good experience. My head is shaped awkwardly, and I also have a scar on the back of my head that's a random bump. And I got this in, I kind of want to say it was also in 6th grade, around that time frame. And basically, we had trampolines as a kid. Trampolines are unsafe. And despite the fact that we would do backyard trampoline wrestling, that's not why I got this scar. Me and my next door neighbor, who was also a friend of me and my brother, he would come over all the time. We were, just bouncing on a trampoline, having a good old time, fucking around a little bit, pushing each other for no reason, stuff like that. And, sometimes on a trampoline, you use other people's bounce momentum. And sometimes when you're a very small little kid, you get a big bounce. And sometimes you go really high up. And sometimes, if someone is pushing you, then and if you're going high up, then you are no longer going to be on a trampoline. You're going to be thrown off of the trampoline. And so this is basically what happened. We were bouncing around. Sometimes we would just try to get as high as we can using other people's momentum. That's kind of what we were doing. I don't remember it perfectly, but basically I got really high up, and my friend mid jump pushed me, and I went flying. And there were all these trees in our yard, and they all had these weird little bricks around the tree. I don't know if that was supposed to make it look nice or whatever. I assume so. Imagine a garden with bricks around it, fancy nice looking bricks, but they were around trees for whatever reason. And so my head just smacked the back of this brick, and I remember everything blacked out for 5 seconds. And I remember when I came back to, I was immediately in tears. This is probably one of the worst pains in my life. I think just because I was such a small kid back then. I don't think I was that much of a bitch. I remember when my tooth went through my lip, I didn't cry then. I think I cried later just because I was so embarrassed, and there was like so much blood on me that was kind of traumatizing. But like when it happened, I was kind of like, ugh, like that was painful. But I remember when this happened, God, I remember it stung like a bitch. And you know, I just kind of, I was crying so bad, like I'm sure my friend was traumatized. His name was, I don't even know if I like should be saying his name. I'm just gonna call him neighbor. My neighbor. You know, he was kind of just like a little bit shook, like he felt responsible. Like we went inside, we tried stopping the bleeding, putting pressure. I remember like my mom, like she had a rule that we couldn't use the trampoline when she wasn't home. And you know, we ignored that rule a lot. And this was the one, and we would do it so we would do the backyard trampoline wrestling, right? And it never happened during that. It happened when she wasn't home, when we were just doing normal, like, fucking around. So, yeah, I remember I didn't want her to find out because I thought, you know, me and my friend were gonna get in trouble. So, I took a shower. I remember when I was in the shower, like, I felt it, and there was, like, a legit hole in my head. I remember being able to push my finger into my head, and there was, like, a hole. Like, I remember pulling my finger kind of out of, like, the gap in my head, and it was just filled with blood, and I think I was just traumatized by that. And I remember, like, the rest of the day just waiting for my mom to get home. Like, my neighbor went back home, and I was just sitting there, like, sitting on the couch, like, sitting on my front, so there wouldn't be any more blood coming out of the back of my head. Because there's a big-ass gash. We waited, like, an hour or two without telling my mom. Probably longer than that, because I remember it was nighttime by the time I went to the hospital. But, I didn't have to tell my mom. My neighbor, he just told his mom. I think he just felt bad and felt responsible, so he did the right thing. Which is obviously the right thing to do. I obviously should have gone to a hospital. So my mom came home, she knew about it, she was just kind of like, oh, like, let's go to the hospital. You know, I went there, I got my stitches. I'm kind of convinced that this hospital fucking sucked and they didn't know how to do anything because my lip wasn't supposed to scar over, but because they fucked it up, it did, and my stitches came, like, undone. I'm pretty sure the stitches in the back of my head were okay. I remember my mom, like, as I was getting the stitches, just kind of like, oh, we can get ice cream or something like that, just stop crying. Like, cause it fucking stung. I was a little kid, man. Like, stitches hurt back then. They probably still hurt. I haven't had stitches in a while, but, I forget how many. I think it was just, like, 4 or 5, like, nothing too serious. But, God, it was probably, like, 3 or 4, I want to say even. I think it was just, like, deep. Like, it was a deep cut is why, like, if there was any seriousness to it, it was that. But yeah, that was pretty much the whole story. It healed over, you know. A while later, I got the stitches undone, and, you know, that was that. We were much more careful, you know, on the trampoline. I always avoided even going near those bricks. And, yeah, I think we stopped wrestling whenever there wasn't, like, a parental supervision near. Which we didn't even do that much, in all honesty. Like, I want to say, like, we only did it, like, a couple of times. But there was always a supervision adult near. And in this one case, you know, shit happens. That's how injuries are always accidents. And I just had one bad little injury to the back of the head, and it only sucks if I, like, ever go bald, and I'll worry about it then. But, yeah, that's today's story. Anyway, thank you again so much for watching. I hope you guys have the rest of your day, I hope, is fantastic, and you have beautiful times ahead of you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. And with that, I leave you.